Sunday on Granada.
You gonna say something?
Look out for It'll Be All Right on the night, but mind the trees. And also watch out for the barking mad.
As if there weren't enough incentives. Being offered it.
It'll Be All Right on the night, Sunday on BBC Two. Granada. Sorry, can we do that again?
Yes, it'll be all right tonight as well, because we've got Coronation Street, there's Gary Lineker and Des O'Connor with Freddie Starr, and football from the UEFA Cup third round first leg. Stand by for the big red book.
This is your life, and this is Mandy, and she's the girlfriend of the young man we are planning to surprise. He's just 21 years of age, but he's #1 in the world at what he does. How long have you known him, Mandy?
Nearly 7 years.
And where does he think you are today?
He thinks I'm staying with his mum up in Scotland.
Right, that's a surprise for him. The other surprise is when he sees you are our receptionist. Another surprise when his pals leap out from behind that place over there. And the third surprise, of course, when I appear with the book. So if you like to go around behind the reception desk, and don't let him recognize you too quickly, okay? I'll hide myself over here.
Right, young lady, have you got the register, please?
If you just like saying that.
Right.
Excuse me, Jess, can I join the party? You're looking rather worried, dear Stephen. I think I know why, because you are right. I'm here to say, Stephen Hendry, this evening, this is your life.
I'm only 21.
I know that. But it's not a very thick book, but there's plenty in it, believe me. Time is rushing away. Not for you, but for some of us. So, would you like to come to our studio and where we tell your story? Nice to see you're still fond of each other after that. And joining Mandy and snooker stars are, down from Scotland, the whole of the Hendry clan, including, of course, Father Gordon and Mother Irene and younger brother Keith. And for your delight, let's take a look at the world champion in typical action. I can't say you make it look easy. Back in 1972, when you were just 3 years old, someone else was the youngest ever world champion at the age of 22.
21.
Now at just 21, you've taken his record.
And that's not all you've taken from me, is it, young man?
Just blown in, the hurricane himself, Alex Higgins. So what else did young Stephen take from you?
I think it was about 2 or 3 years ago. I think it was numerous amount of £10 notes.
Irish £10 notes.
Oh yes, Irish £10 notes. As you know, that we play tournaments here, there, and everywhere, and I had a residue of some of my punts, my Irish money, and I said, Stephen, yes, one from here, and that's Scottish, that's Irish, and so on. And it was a good way to kill time at Sheffield, playing a very, very good player.
And who won?
Well, I played him, he actually won.
I'd like to have seen that. In fact, we're going to see something very exciting later on between you two. Thank you for the moment. Alex Higgins.
Congratulations.
Thanks very much. Cheers.
Well, Stephen Hendry, this is your life, and you were born on January the 13th, 1969, last week to some of us, in Edinburgh. Now, Keith, you were born 3 years later, and you almost look like twins here. What did the Hendry clan call you two?
The brats.
The Brats, right. And now there are 3 because your 8-year-old cousin, Laura, over there, has been given honorary membership of the Brats. What do they call you, Laura?
Bratette.
The Bratette. Could be worse. And you used to play hide and seek, didn't you?
I used to hide in the wardrobe and they never come and look for me.
They never came to look for you. Well, you got out at last, that's one thing. Well, at Juniper Green School in Edinburgh, you were in the soccer team and the badminton side too. 9 years ago, you were 12 when Father Christmas called. That year, he arrived not only with a special present, but with a future. The present was from Mum and Dad. Gordon.
6'3" snooker table.
Right. And do you remember, Irene, how much it cost?
Yes, £137.
Only 10 off the maximum snooker break, but that present has paid for itself since. It wasn't long before you were driving your snooker-mad dad potty by beating him. How about this for concentration?
So maybe you were concentrating on not falling off the box you stood on to reach the table.
The velvet tones of the voice of snooker, whispering Ted Lowe.
Congratulations. You've kept us quite a while.
How old was Stephen when you first saw him?
12 years of age. It was 1981, I remember. And we just launched Junior Pop Black.
That's right.
But we felt you were too young to go before the cameras at that stage.
Yeah.
2 years later, you were 14, and I well remember you won the All England Boys Under-16s Championship. So we put you in Junior Pop Black. I shall never forget, actually, Michael, when young Stephen came to the studios in Birmingham. He had a cue case taller and bigger than himself. But he was so proud. He had his first ever long pants on, his long trousers. Do you remember?
Right.
I remember looking at my notes, and I'd got down height, 4'10", but will grow into a world champion. I think, actually, Stephen, you have 3 great assets, if I may say. One is, of course, your ability on the table is absolutely marvelous. You thrill millions over the years. Your second asset, I think, is your management, the Q Masters organisation under that Scottish businessman, Ian Doyle. But thirdly, and perhaps more importantly, you are unassuming. You're just a very nice young boy. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Ted Lowe. Never heard you shout before, Ted. And Stephen, we can take you back to your first ever appearance on Junior Pot Black in 1983.
Oh, good.
Eyebrows twitching, but he puts the red away. He looks so small against that rather large billiard table.
Four.
Pushing referee out the way now.
5.
Celebrating your very first pimple as well that day. Ted had a guest commentator that day, an established snooker star who's become your great pal on the professional circuit. He has to be in Blackburn tonight, but he talks to you now. Willie Thorne.
Hello, Steve. Along with Ted Lowe, I was commentating on your matches in the Junior Pot Black, and so impressed was I with the way you played, I actually had a word with the producer and said that we ought to give this lad some sort of trophy for his contribution. And we came up with a personality award, which I believe was your first ever trophy. You played absolutely tremendous that time and have grown in stature ever since, and I remember saying to your father just after you've played, he ought to change his action a little bit if he wants to become a professional player. It just shows you what I know about the game, really. I'm sorry I can't be there this evening with you, Steve, but you've been the shot in the arm the game needs. And from the great W, have a great night, and I'll see you soon.
Thank you, Willie Thorne. Well, rubbing dinner-suited shoulders with the stars of the game was still a schoolboy dream when you worked on Saturday mornings in your father's greengrocer's shop.
Remember, Stephen, we used to dash from packing the potatoes to potting the reds.
He worked alongside you all of 8 years ago, Conrad Whitelaw.
Hey, doing all right? Are you doing all right?
So, Conrad, snooker was your game as well, then,
Yeah,
was it?
that's right. I met Stephen years and years ago, and it was his dad that encouraged me to play him because he thought it'd be good for him to play a better player, like, you know. A better player. And we used to play in tournaments every week and split the prize money, you know. And I still wish we were splitting the prize money.
Yeah, thank you very much. Conrad Whitelaw.
Yeah.
Well, Stephen, by the time you were 14, you were the national boys snooker champion. It looks as if you've cornered the market in trophies. Well, there was another you had your eye on, the Scottish Amateur Championship.
And when you started going behind in the final, I took you out for a walk.
Another member of the Hendry clan, your grandmother, Jean. Jean, tell us what prompted that walkabout.
Well, the first half, it was getting beaten, you know, and at the end of the first half, the crowd was getting round us, and I saw he was getting uptight. So I says, right, the best thing we can do, best thing we can do is get him out of the hole.
Come a bit closer to him. You look a bit afraid of him.
Yeah, I'm not afraid. I'm afraid.
Yeah, go on. Sorry, what were you saying?
So I took him out, and when we returned, the crowd was shouting, "Come on, wee man." So I said to him, "Play your own game and enjoy it." And he went out to win, and he was the youngest Scottish champion amateur snooker.
Thanks to you, Jean.
Right.
Many thanks. Well, still only 15, you enter for the third successive year the Star of the Future snooker contest at Pontins in Prestatyn, North Wales. And Mandy, you were there with your father and your sister, isn't that right?
Yes, I got roped into going along there, which I wasn't too pleased about. I found snooker very boring, and so we went there for the week. And meanwhile, Stephen had introduced himself to my parents for some reason, and as the week progressed, my clothes were badly creased, and we hadn't brought an iron along, so just by coincidence, I asked Stephen to lend an iron.
Some wine, that, wasn't it?
Can I borrow your iron?
Yeah. And things just went from there. We swapped telephone numbers, and 2 weeks went by, and I phoned him, and his mother answered the phone and said there's a foreigner on the phone, Stephen. And just since then, I've been getting more Scottish and less foreign, really.
Your theme tune is Any Old Iron, isn't that sweet? Well, another foreigner, this time a Canadian, makes a big impression on your young life when he visits Dunfermline. He's a former world champion, and not only do you get to play a few frames against him, you take quite a gamble on his skills, as he now demonstrates. Cliff Thorburn.
Hello, Stephen. Remember when I came up to Bonnie, Scotland, about 10, 12 years ago, and I played you at the Classic Snooker Club in Dunfermline, and I remember that we played 3 frames. You were about 12 years old, and you made an 80 break against me, and I went up to you after and said, "You can't do that to me." You were about this high right here, but you've done very well in the game. You've shown lots of nerve, And also, I was really impressed with the way that you handled this one particular trick shot. Well, Steve, I haven't been playing this shot too well as of late, but as you can see, my friend Andoni and myself have been practicing it quite a bit. And this is exactly what happened. Remember that day when I put the chalk in your mouth like so, and then I put the black on top of the chalk, and with the cue ball over here on the side, I had to shoot the black out of your mouth and pot it into the corner pocket. Well, Steve, in fact, since you won the World Championship, I'm sure that there's a few people that might have wished that I might have messed that shot up a little bit. But seriously, though, I'm really sorry that I can't be there, and have a wonderful evening, and you deserve it, pal. Well done.
Well, thanks to Cliff Thorburn and his brave friend there. Now, just 16, Stephen, you turned professional, and the future world champion is groomed in more ways than one. Now, your mother and your Aunt Christine get working on your appearance. Isn't that right, Irene?
Yes, Stephen didn't want to wear suits or anything to go out and play matches. He wanted to play in his jeans, and he thought his friends would laugh at him. But I said to him, if you're going to be a professional snooker player, you must dress like a professional snooker player. And so he did. But we got him a nice navy blue pinstripe suit, and he looked really smart, but unfortunately he teamed it up with pale silver blue shoes.
Oh, very smart, I think. And now, Christine, where are you, Christine? Now, you're a hairdresser, of course, and you got to work on him as well. But I'll ask you, Stephen, first. What did Christine say about your hair when you did it yourself?
It was a mess, basically.
Basically a mess.
Yeah.
So when he came to you, Christine, he had a very definite idea of what he wanted in the style.
Yes, one summer he came over with a U2 video, and we sat and watched it, and the drummer was there. He said, I want my hair cut like the drummer in U2, and I noticed that his hair was receding a little bit, and I thought, was that to take lumps out as well? But no, we did it. We cut it shorter and shorter, and I thought, Ian's going to kill us when he sees this one. But no, it was very successful, and we went on, and he won Head of the Year hairdressing award for that.
Head of the Year, but what went wrong with the feet? Now, you've got them in this tournament in New Zealand stuck in a bucket.
Not quite the image for our House of Lords, Stephen, but it did the trick.
Organiser of that tournament in Wellington, flown in from New Zealand, Peter Scott. Peter, feet in a bucket sounds a rather unusual snooker scene.
Well, Michael, it is, but also the venue was unique. The scene for the 1988 Lion Brown Masters was the Legislative Council chamber in Wellington, and that's effectively our House of Lords, where, when the Queen's in New Zealand, she opens Parliament. Well, the stage was set for the tournament, and the day before, Stephen and Mike Hallett were actually playing cards back at the hotel, and it was a fairly interesting hand, and Stephen got a bit upset, jumped in the air, and badly bruised his heels. The outcome really was a day before the tournament that we really contemplated flying a new professional out from Britain to replace Stephen, but such was his determination. He actually played and went on to beat Mike in the final.
I see it all now. Thank you, Peter Scott. Well, Stephen, as well as being world champion, you share the world doubles championship with Mike Hallett, and Alison Fisher, your ladies snooker world champion, you played a challenge match with Stephen.
Well, it wasn't actually a challenge match. We were both at the same venue on one night, and I think it was Valentine's Day, and he was given a large chocolate egg with some smaller chocolates by an admirer of his, and he gave me one of the smallest chocolates there was, and I thought he lived up to the reputation of being a typical Scot.
Oh, he just likes chocolate, that's all right. Now, Stephen, since you were a youngster, and I mean really a youngster, your favourite football team has been Heart of Midlothian. And after you'd won the World Championship this year, the chairman and players had a special presentation for you. Yes, they're all Heart. And if you look at that screen, Chairman Wallace Mercer and your favourite player, Scottish international John Robertson, would like a word with you.
Hi, Stephen. I'm sorry we can't be with you tonight, but as you can see, we're back here in Edinburgh trying to win some games. But don't worry, I've got the table booked for us when you come back. You know, though I've not played for a few years, so I'll be looking for a better start. Have a good night.
Good evening, Stephen. Best of luck. Thank you very much for accepting to become president of our junior club. I'm sure you'll tackle it as the true champ you are. Best of luck. Have a good night.
Thank you, gentlemen. Now, Alex Higgins, only last year in Ireland, you played Stephen in what was hailed as one of the most brilliant snooker games ever seen.
Yeah, we played in the final of the Irish Princetons, which was actually a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, and it got to the stage where, I mean, me being a Celt and your man there, him being a Celt, that it was really like, you know, the gladiators thrown in to be prey for the lions, and I think Stephen will remember that particular last frame. I got home by a short head, in the words of Lester Piggott, he's made a comeback. Just sort of keep you on your toes, but I think really I said everything then that Stephen could actually, I wouldn't say dominate, but really put his mark on snooker over the next 20 years. And he's a wonderful player to watch. He's a great player to play with, because like there's no way you can sort of rest on your laurels when you play Stephen, because he's adventurous. He likes to go for the game. He's great. He can frighten you. He can entertain you. He's a complete snooker player. He's, for me, a very, very worthy world champion. I'm pleased that he, amongst others, I was hoping Jimmy would do it, because Jimmy was my first pet, and who was it? Stephen has beaten my youngest ever title, but I say to Stephen that practice makes perfect, but it's great when you have players like Stephen and Jimmy who have so much flair, and they can entertain the man not only in the auditorium, but the man that sat at home in his armchair, and he happens to be one of them players, and he's a great player.
Thank you. Lastly, let's go back to that moment at the Crucible in Sheffield in April when you became the youngest ever world champion.
68. Try to develop the red from the side cushion.
69.
But the other one went anyway. And with that break of 71, Stephen Hendry brings a great championship to an end. He has beaten Jimmy White by 18 frames to 12 to become the youngest ever champion.
Ladies and gentlemen, a tremendous round of your appreciation, please, for both players, Jimmy White and Stephen Hendry. And now to the winner, a cheque for £120,000, the trophy and the coveted title of 1990 Embassy World Champion goes to Stephen Hendry.
A great moment. Now, your opponent there was your boyhood snooker idol, and what is more, he is here tonight, Jimmy White. You saw that moment of triumph coming for Stephen then?
Well, I'm afraid so, yeah.
When's the first time you actually noticed him then?
No, we see Stephen, I met him in Sheffield when he was about 12, and then I played him in Ireland after an exhibition, and I wrote on a piece of paper to the next Jimmy White, best wishes, Jimmy White. And it was the worst autograph I ever wrote. But, you know, he's a marvellous player and was very pleased with him.
I should say so. Well, that prophecy certainly worked. Stephen Hendry, this is your life.
Coronation Street is next after the break.